Hi class. For this course, the goal was to complete and understand a market analysis for the site at the current Lake Forest Mall. This presentation will give an overview of the process and procedures resulting in a recommendation for future real estate development. In order to do so, a certain methodology and process is followed to gather the most pertinent and informative data followed to support a concluding recommendation. The process starts with studying what is currently at the property and why it is vacant or failing. After understanding the existing property, the analyst must define a vision. What is the goal with the redevelopment? Next, the surrounding locational characteristics will be studied to define the attractiveness of the site as well as determine a trade market area in which the property will draw from. Once the trade market area is defined in primary and secondary zones, office, residential, and retail markets can be analyzed individually to determine the supply and demand for each market. Is there a gap in the market? What is over or undersupplied? Is there growth supporting more or less development? And finally, after analyzing each specific market, it's possible to determine what uses can be mixed on the site to maximize user interaction, activity, and potential. The subject property is located at 701 Russell Avenue in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and is the current site for the Lake Forest Mall. The mall was first opened in 1978 and sits on a large site made up of 8 parcels totaling 103.3 acres. On the property is 1,045,000 square feet of retail space over 2 stories, and there's a sea of parking. Due to the size of the site, there's plenty of space for a large scale and potentially multiple use development, with room for its own infrastructure and parking. Understanding the existing components of the property and what caused it to vacate may or may not, depending on the specific property, give useful information as to a gap or opportunity in the market. User reviews can be helpful in determining a public opinion on what is there and what may be desired. In the case of the Lake Forest Mall site, public reviews were not positive and many sounded like such. Reviews like this can inform us of a need for quality of space, quality of product, and proper infrastructure. Now, before starting the market study, there are certain goals that the development should strive to meet. Making the site active throughout the day will influence use and potential revenue and value. User preferences are changing. Millennials want denser, more walkable, live, eat, play environments that bring all necessities and amenities to one site. Quality of product offered will attract a specific demographic, and as we will study and have read in the previous slide, quality of space will also be an attractor. Finally, the goal is to create a space that will stay in high demand. The application of these factors will increase the potential for prospective development. The first portion of the market analysis studies the locational characteristics and surroundings of the subject property in order to define what the target market area and attractors to the site can be. Zoning must be looked into first. The local municipality will define what type of construction is allowed on site and if a different use is desired. In the case of the Lake Forest site, the property is currently zoned as C2 commercial. This may cause an issue if residential is deemed capable, so a change should be sought after to make the site zoned MXD or mixed use. The 2009 Gaithersburg Land Use Plan has proposed that change already. Traffic will determine where the majority of users will be coming from and how they will be accessing the site. It will also impact visibility and access as demonstrated in the next few slides. The intersection of Frederick Avenue and Montgomery Village is considered one of the busiest in the county. Additional infrastructure may be needed to alleviate additional traffic in the area. Site visibility will be important to the development. When people see an attraction, as opposed to having to look for it, they are more likely to go to the site as planned or even spontaneously. The main intersection near the Lake Forest property is at Frederick Avenue and Montgomery Village. Currently, there is tree coverage blocking views to the property. This intersection is also located a block off property, so the development may want to build higher to increase visibility here and for other regions further away. Montgomery Village and Lost Knife Road is the second most traveled intersection and has similar visibility conditions. However, here, the trees blocking visibility are on site and may be removed as long as an easement doesn't prevent that. The development may want to utilize this intersection to its advantage, as it is the most trafficked spot with direct visibility to the property. The less traveled and often residential facing roads directly next to the site have the best visibility. These intersections include Lost Knife Road at Cider Mill Apartments and Odenthal Road and at Russell Avenue. Finally, another area, also on the Frederick Avenue corridor, that will have limited visibility to the site is down Lake Forest Road. This viewpoint may be extremely important due to the daily use. The site is very accessible by car. Today's society utilizes automobile the most, but user preferences are shifting towards public transit and walking as high debt is delaying the purchase of cars, among other things. Currently, there are 6 access points on the Lake Forest property that spread entrances equally around the surrounding roads. The site is also only 0.7 miles away from the highway, increasing ease of access. In terms of public transit accessibility, the city of Gaithersburg is very accessible from the surrounding region. The Ride-On program has a bus stop within a half-mile of the property. This program will connect commuters to I-95 and Baltimore-Washington International Airport. Commuters using the train have a tougher distance to travel to the site. The station is located a little over a mile walking distance. Therefore, ride-sharing programs such as Uber or Lyft and their presence in the property's market area could be very important in transporting users from public transit stops. Schooling is one of the major attractors bringing families to the region. Maryland as a state is well respected in terms of public schooling and is 7th ranked nationally. More specifically, Montgomery County, in which the site is located, has the top-ranked schooling in the state. Rockville, the neighboring community, is home to all 6 top schools in the county. The highest-ranked school in Gaithersburg is ranked 13th and 40th in the state. As a result, residents and office users may be attracted to Rockville more than Gaithersburg, placing an importance on reaching there for an attraction and bringing people in. After reviewing locational characteristics, a trade market area can be defined. The trade market area will determine the primary area in which most users will come from. A few additional factors are looked at before mapping out the boundary line. Highways, in many cases, may divide areas of access. In the case of the Lake Forest Mall site, 2 highways are in close proximity and act as buffers to the surrounding areas. Physical borders, such as Seneca Creek State Park, also work as deterrents, as there isn't adequate access through unless a user goes out of their way to enter a highway or connecting access way. Distance from competitive areas will impact how far a user is willing to travel as well. If a closer development with comparable products is available, it is less likely that they will travel to the site farther away. After analyzing the region, the primary market area can be defined as shown. Once a primary trade market area is defined, the first real estate category can be analyzed. In this case, that is the office market. Existing inventory is the first factor that should be studied. The I-270 corridor is the fastest growing region in the county. Gaithersburg and the rest of the primary trade area is located within this and is experiencing the same growth. In comparison to the rest of the corridor, the primary trade area is low on high-quality Class A space and high on aging Class B and C space. This demonstrates a need for updated offices that support growing technologies in a time when innovation is fueling growth. This can occur through renovation or new construction at the Lake Forest site. The trade area is favorable in terms of vacancy rates and rental rates. Gaithersburg has the lowest vacancy and rental rates of any of the surrounding municipalities. While good vacancy rates are considered to be in the 5 to 7% range, the market area is recovering faster than most others. This may be a result of lower quality office space supply, but there is a need for higher quality spaces that will continue to bring in higher quality tenants, especially if user preferences are being followed. This map gives an accurate comparison of what the rates are for the surrounding communities around the Lake Forest site. As a result of low vacancy and rental rates, absorption of new space is higher than other areas as well. In addition to the potential office space that may be developed on the Lake Forest site, there is over 2.5 million square feet of brand new proposed or space currently under construction infiltrating the office market. This will most likely result in an increase in Class A space and less demand unless the market can attract multiple large tenants to relocate to the area. The proposed and under progress developments show a wide spread in location without a focus on the central business district where much office space is currently located. This signifies the evolution of the market to follow changing user preferences. Pairing office with retail and residential has become a trend that is more attractive to younger families and workers. The market is also seeing a change in what industries are succeeding or failing. The new focus has shifted to science, health, and technological innovations. Innovation, efficiency, and productivity are factors that are attracting top-end tenants. The government, which has been a leading job provider in the region, is consolidating and relocating to government-owned buildings, leaving large vacancies and decreased performance. Capture rate can be projected as a hard value by dividing existing office space by the size of development available on the Lake Forest site. These are rough estimates, however, and don't factor in a judgment based on the quality of space and location. Due to the subject property's favorable location near, but not in the central business district, and surrounded by restaurants and residences, as well as near to the highway, the capture rates calculated can actually be considered larger than what is shown for the Lake Forest site. So can the market support an office development? Well, after analyzing the various factors that make up the office real estate market, it can be determined that the Lake Forest site can support a new office development. Due to the large amount of office space entering the market, vacancy rates still not at an optimal level, and the consolidation of many companies, the office portion of a development should not be dominant, however, and should be considered secondary. By mixing office with other uses, the potential for activity and success will be greatly increased. The residential market was analyzed next. Factors such as population, household and employment growth, as well as current and proposed inventory and vacancy will be taken into account. As shown in the chart, you can see that since the recession, the Lake Forest market area has grown at a much faster rate. We can also see that the growing population isn't strictly homegrown. The dominant age range in the region is 25 to 54, and the population under age 18 is very low. This could be a result of millennials starting families much later due to increased debt and less financial stability earlier in life. The population is aging, and the prospective development should relate to the target user. There are currently over 31,000 households in the Lake Forest market area and growing. A trend is evident with how residents are occupying their properties, however. As you can see in the second table, the percentage of property rented versus owned has significantly increased. Also, as shown in the previous slide, due to the aging populations, empty nesters and millennials without any children make up the majority of the population renting or purchasing properties. It's important to understand the types of residential properties that may be developed at the site. As shown in the previous slides, there's been a flip from owning to renting. Renting typically happens in multifamily complexes, and the Lake Forest market has a growing multifamily market. As we can see in the table and chart below, there's an abundance of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, but very few studio and 3 bedrooms. The existing housing inventory, much like office, is aging. The median time of completion is in 1985. It should be noted that market inventory is growing and percentage of new apartments completed after 2009 is high and in a state of recovery. The type of housing users are choosing is changing too. As shown in previous slides and in the table below, user preferences are demonstrating a flip from owning to renting. It is also typically recommended that residents don't spend more than 30% of their income on mortgage and rental payments. In the city of Gaithersburg, that figure, spending more than 30% of their income, is very high and signals a gap in the market and need for affordable housing. As demonstrated in the table shown, we can see that asking prices for the Lake Forest market are comparable to the suburban Maryland market. The biggest discrepancy is for studios. This also signals a gap for cheaper studio and affordable apartments in general. In terms of finding employment for incoming residents, the Lake Forest market is an attractive one. The office market is growing and unemployment is very low. Vacancy rates show that the market is still in recovery. Vacancy rates are the highest for newest built properties. However, the rates are improving slowly and are better than national and regional averages. After studying the residential demographics, an analysis of comparable, existing, proposed, and other under construction properties is needed. The study verifies that there is a lack of studio and 3-bedroom apartments. Locationally, the properties are spread out within the market. Ideally, to follow residential user preferences, the Lake Forest development should be near office and retail, like much of these comparable developments are. So can the market support residential development at the Lake Forest site? It can in the form of multifamily housing. A mix of quality, affordable, and high-end housing is capable of being supported and prospering. There is a shortage in studios, and with colleges located nearby, this should be seen as a growing market. The final market analyzed is the retail market. First, understanding what is currently being invested in and purchased is necessary. Basic needs such as food and clothing from both restaurants and grocery stores dominate current estimated expenditures. Innovation and growth of technology is fueling extreme growth in the electronics and technology retail as well. There is much retail competition and existing inventory in the Lake Forest market area. As shown in expenditures, grocery, restaurant, and apparel have the most supply. Due to growth projection and inventory type, there is demand for electronics and sporting goods, as well as upscale establishments in both grocery and apparel. There are 3 types of retail. GAFO, or general merchandise, apparel, accessories, furniture, and other sales, make up the majority of the Lake Forest market inventory. Neighborhood goods and services contain your grocery and secondary support spaces, and food and beverage contain your restaurant and bar establishments. Retail types to take note of in this market are the presence of 15 grocers, but only 1 upscale grocery store. There are 10 household, furnishing, and equipment shops, only 1 sporting goods store, and only 5 electronics stores. There are also not many big box or upscale retailers. Locationally, the I-270 is a major line that retail developments build around. The Lake Forest site has close proximity to the highway and follows suit. In terms of sales expectations, a grocery store should strive for $400 per square foot, whereas most other types of developments should strive for $350. Capture rate can be determined based on many factors, including estimated expenditures, growth rate for a specific product, location, clustering, competition and their location, and user preferences. The Lake Forest Mall property has a favorable location, is near retail clusters, and should appeal to users in growth industries. This results in a higher capture rate than that of a site with worse characteristics. Due to growth and spending power, as well as expectations, electronics, sporting goods, and apparel have the highest capture rates. Demand has then been determined through a calculation that includes expenditures, capture, and expected sales. As a result, the sectors with the most demand are grocery, restaurant, apparel, as well as electronics, sporting goods, and personal services. So, can the market support a retail development? There is a clear demand for certain retail products. Those with not much immediate competition include upscale clothing and grocery, while those experiencing large growth are technology, electronics, and sporting goods. Multiple products should be incorporated, and ideally within close proximity to residences for easy access. Finally, mixed use can be determined. What markets can be combined to make the development the most successful? All types, office, residential, and retail, should be grouped and included. They must be scaled properly, however, to maximize potential. User preferences as well as market characteristics allow us to determine appropriate uses for the Lake Forest site. Office was determined to have the least demand and should be secondary. Residential and retail, however, were both in large demand and should be primary functions. A preliminary diagram for development proportions is shown. The conclusion of the analysis allows a recommendation to be made for the Lake Forest site. Recommendations include 1. Increasing infrastructure to accommodate added traffic. A new development with better uses will bring in many more people than the current Lake Forest Mall. As a result, better roadways with easier transportation will be needed to reduce congestion. 2. Appeal to user preferences. Millennials and young professionals have much higher debt than those before them. With the delay of the purchase of automobiles, as well as the start of families, they prefer an increased density, walkability, and the live-work-play environment. 3. Offer Class A office space. This is a secondary function, but it should appeal to growing industries in the area, such as science and technology, hospitality, and transportation. 4. Offer a mix of affordable and high-end residential. There is a clear gap and need for cheap or affordable studios and high-end luxury and 3-bedroom apartments. 5. Offer a mix of retail functions. Fill the gaps for higher-end grocery stores. Fill the gap for higher-end apparel. There isn't many of either. Cluster restaurants and make this area a destination. Consider sporting goods stores and offer innovative technology and electronics. And 6. Mix uses with the proper scale. As shown previously, this must be done in order to maximize potential. If these recommendations are followed, the Lake Forest Mall site will have the highest potential for success.